Okay. Everybody set? All right. Hey, good evening. My name is Todd Chamberlain. I'm the Chief of Police for the Aurora Police Department. Earlier today, we had a tragedy that occurred. We had an officer-involved shooting that involved an individual who was at this gas station directly over my shoulder. How this unfolded and what occurred was that right around 7:30 this evening, the suspect of this incident actually called Aurora 911. He advised the communications operator that he had a weapon, that he was planning to shoot up the business or the area around the business, and he had a gun. He also said that the gun was in his pocket or in his waistband, and he had planned and wanted to shoot at police as well. At about 7:40, the owner of this business, again, called Aurora 911 and made a statement that he had locked himself inside of the business, the owner, because there was suspicious activity going on outside of the location that for whatever reason he felt some major security issues about. Our officers arrived on scene at about 7:42 based upon those two calls. They actually came over to this side of the location. From what we know at this point, and again, I'm going to be very open with you and very clear, the facts of this investigation are still unfolding. This is very, very early in what we are knowing and what we are finding out, but I'm going to give you what we know to this point. And again, after those calls for service came in, again, which the suspect himself called, and then the owner of this location called and said that they needed help, our officers responded. They set up over on this far side of the business, and they came out with their weapons, which included a rifle, a pistol, and then they also had a less lethal tool. That less lethal tool was known as a 40 millimeter, and the 40 millimeter, it shoots rubber projectiles, and it's used for hopefully stopping somebody before lethal force is needed. Armed with their equipment, after a discussion, the officers moved around the corner. The individual that we know at this time was on the island on the far side of the business. He was almost waiting for the officers. His hands were concealed. The officers observed the suspect on the far side, at which point the suspect came away from the island with his hands still concealed and began to walk towards the officers. We do know that one of the officers fired the 40 millimeter less lethal tool. Again, we don't know the exact number of times it was fired, but again, this is not a lethal tool, this is a less lethal tool. We believe it was fired some amount between 2 to 4 times, and again, that's still going to have to come out as the investigation unfolds. Those foam rounds had no impact and did not stop the aggressive behavior of our suspect. After the rounds were actually fired, he increased his aggressive behavior and started to run towards the officers. The officers moved back around the corner behind me. They actually redeployed completely back, gave up plenty of space. All through this period of time, verbalization was being used by our officers. We could hear that in the initial tapes. You could hear hands, hands, let me see your hands, get on the ground, get on the ground. That, in conjunction with the less lethal, had no impact whatsoever. The suspect charged around the corner, still with his hands, and you could see this in the video at this time. He still had his hands secreted inside of his jacket or near his pants area, at which time one officer fired his pistol. The suspect went down on the ground. The officers then moved up onto the suspect and took him into custody without further incident. Fire department was contacted. They immediately responded. Our officers on scene also provided immediate life-saving support to the individual. What we know about the suspect at this point, and again, this investigation is still unfolding, we know that he is a male white. We believe that he is approximately 17 years of age. We are trying to determine those specific facts and some more information about that as it unfolds. These are the very initial aspects of the case, but these are the factual aspects that we are looking at and reviewing right now for what we know. As all investigations unfold, again, this one will not be conducted by the Aurora Police Department. It will be conducted by the CERT team, which is the officer-involved shooting team out of the 18th Judicial District, District Attorney's Office. They are on scene and they will conduct the investigation. They will handle all aspects of that. So with that in mind, I'd like to open it up to any questions or any information that anybody would like to have at this time.
Was anyone else hurt or affected by this? And what about the owner of the shop?
The owner of the shop is presently transported to police headquarters where he'll be interviewed based upon what he saw or what he felt. That again, interview will be conducted by the CERT team as they unfold. As far as anybody additional, we have one additional witness that we know of right now, and we are asking for the community's help. If anybody in the community has any other additional information about this event, if anybody has any additional video, all that video from both the interior will be gathered. All the information and video from the officer's body-worn camera has also been gathered and will be given to the CERT team for processing. But right now, that is what we know. We know it's the two individuals that have been impacted.
One more question. The officer, according to protocol, now goes on paid administrative leave, the officer who fired the pistol?
That's correct. As part of the investigation that goes through this, the officer will seek, he'll be interviewed at a later date. The interview, again, is conducted by the CERT team through the 18th Judicial. He will also have to receive mental health services to make sure that he understands the impact of what occurred and he is able to function and deal with that. So that is part of the behavioral science aspect. And then based upon as the investigations unfold, it'll be a determination of when he returns to work or if he returns to work. Any other questions?
Do we have an update on the suspect's condition right now?
Yeah, the suspect is dead. He was transported from this scene to the hospital and is believed either during transportation or actually upon arrival at the hospital, he was pronounced. Any other questions?
Is there anything specific that specifically triggered this one officer to fire the rounds? You said there was multiple officers in this line.
Yeah, and again, like all shootings, it's the perception of the officer, and that is what he is going to have to articulate out in detail as the investigation unfolds. So even though there was 3 officers there and you only have 1 officer that shot, that is the perspective that he is going to have to talk about. That is what he is going to have to say. What were the issues? What were the concerns? What were the perceptions that he observed and he observed alone? Again, when you look at this event, it's a tragic event. There is no getting around it. When you have a suspect himself who calls and says that he plans on shooting up a location and he also has a gun and he wants to shoot at police officers, that's concerning. When you have a suspect who officers use verbalization and it has no impact, when officers use a less lethal tool, such as a 40 millimeter, which shoots out these foam things and that still has no impact, that's also very concerning. So these are the aspects that are going to be investigated and will continue to unfold as this continues to be worked.
You said that the suspect called police saying that he had a weapon on him. When police were able to reach him, did he have any weapon?
Yes, and at this time there has been no weapon that's been located.
We saw Littleton detectives on scene. Why was that?
Because that's how the CERT team works. Again, it's a very important process that for us in Aurora, we do not investigate our own officer-involved shootings. That aspect of investigating shootings is a collaborative with other departments throughout the metro region where they will come together and they will investigate this shooting in Aurora. It is the same thing as if there was a shooting in another one of those jurisdictions, our members would go and investigate. It brings a clarity to the investigation, it brings an objectivity to the investigation, and it makes sure that there's no bias or to make sure that there's no taint to what is unfolding or what's occurring.
Just one more question about the officer. Was he, I guess, what was his status? Was he a newer officer or was he someone that's been with the department for some time?
Yeah, he's been with the department a number of years, and again, that's what we know at this point.
What is the main challenge? We've seen other situations like this. What is the main challenge for law enforcement in a situation like this, in this kind of an area with 2 busy streets, and a lot of people?
That's a great question, and I think the main challenge is dealing with unknown circumstances, and that's definitely what this event was tonight. And to be an officer, again, having done this for 4 decades being an officer that gets a radio call that was actually dispatched and called in by the suspect himself, who stated that he plans on basically shooting up a business, that he has a gun and he wants to shoot police officers. That's a challenging call. And when you go into a call like that, there's certain things you want to do. Obviously, you want to respond. You want to make sure the community's safe. You want to make sure the individual who also called later, who said that there was some fear related to what was unfolding inside that caused him to actually close his business and secure it, that's the challenge, is the uncertainty of what you are going into. It's also to make sure that you're prepared as best as you can be for whatever could unfold. And when you look at what these officers did in that brief period of time when they got on scene, the fact that they were utilizing less lethal tools, the fact that they deployed a 40mm tool in conjunction with lethal tools, the fact that they verbalized, the fact that they planned on how they wanted to approach the individual, the fact that as that individual charged them, they retreated or redeployed backwards and gave space and time to that suspect as he moved forward. All of those things, again, they don't happen in days, they unfortunately happen in seconds. And that's the uncertainty that happens with these officers. And again, this is not an event that any officer wants to be part of. This is a tragedy. And this is an incredibly sad circumstance. But this is what officers respond to day in and day out. And this is what they had to face tonight. And this is what will be reviewed. And this is what is going to be evaluated. And that investigation will unfold. And it will unfold without prejudice. It will unfold without bias. It will be a complete, concise, methodical investigation about what occurred and what these individuals did, not in days, but in seconds.
I have a question.
Yes.
Was there any thought of deploying a mental health team to this situation?
And again, that's an interesting question, and thank you. And yes, right around 7:41, when what he asked was, you talked about the mental health team, correct? Yeah, at about 7:41, our mental health officers actually keyed the radio and said that they were responding to this as well. To be very frank, this is a call based upon the circumstances that were unfolding, that at first we had to address the potential of the violence attached. And that potential was an individual who stated that he was going to shoot up a business, that he was basically going to become an active shooter. So there wasn't a huge opportunity to do any kind of intervention, any crisis intervention in this particular incident, based upon the need to make sure, one, this business behind us did not become an active shooting situation, and two, to make sure that there weren't innocent community members who had been victimized or were about to be victimized by this suspect.
How quickly did the first responder arrive on scene, and can you clarify if the suspect fired any rounds?
Again, our officers got on scene. I think it was probably within about 4 or 5 minutes. The suspect did not fire rounds because, again, I'm going to be very clear about this as well. There was no weapon that was located. So what we had was the threat of a weapon. We had the actions of somebody who had a weapon, but there was no weapon. And that is what the officer had to contend with. Anything else? Again, thank you very much. The investigation will be unfolding as more details become more clear, as more specifics unfold. We will do everything we can to be as transparent as we can for everybody involved in this, for the community, for our officers, for the suspect, for everyone as a whole. We will ensure that all the facts, all the information is relayed, is clear and concise and factual. Thank you very much for your time tonight.